Hello and welcome everybody, it's Karen. Thank you very much for joining me once again. I am going to try my hardest to make this a bit of a series where I use the same supplies and make two different cards. So I thought that every other Monday I would try to do this, and today it's a Christmas card I'm doing. I have this die that is from Paper Rose, it's the berry border die. I bought this before Christmas and I thought I would be using it to make all kinds of Christmas cards, and well, you know how that goes. I didn't get around to it, and so today is the day. So I'm going to use that, and then I've also got this Chunky Joy die from Simon Says Stamp. It's a CZ design die. I thought I'd use that, and then I've also got these Paper Rose Crisp Christmas Sentiment strips that I will also use. So both cards use those, and there's a few changes with ink, but basically the same supplies there. So for my first card, I am using some red Copic markers just to color in those berries. I just wanted to get a little bit of shading on them. I didn't do a very good job on this, to be very honest. So I didn't leave my Copic marker coloring in for you because it wasn't very good. So there they are. And I'm just going to put some of this glossy accents on them just to give them a bit of gloss and shine. You actually don't, I don't think the Copic marker coloring really matters in the end because it's quite a busy card. So now I have cut 3 more of that border die, and I'm just stacking them up here and gluing them together just to give a little dimension on that. Now I had decided I wanted to stencil this same pattern across my card front. So I have a laminating folder that I've run through the laminator. So it's really like a piece of acetate. I had this in my mind I would do it this way. I think you could do the same thing with a thinner cardstock. But I did it on this acetate, and I find to make the acetate cut better in the die cutting machine, I sandwich it between some thin cardstock, so it really comes out much better if you do that. And that's all I'm doing there. I did leave a thin strip between each border because I didn't want to lose all those little branches. So that's 3 rows done, and I've taped it down to my card front. And those are the Distress Oxide inks I'm going to use: Old Paper, Festive Berries, and Candied Apple. And honestly, I'm just putting color down. I had no rhyme or reason as to where to put things. I just wanted some color. My Candied Apple, I don't know what's gone on with that thing, but you'll see it's kind of like a weird orange color now. But I used it anyway. It just was a change, so I used it. It's quite weird. It's quite wet. I don't know what's going on. So that's the first one done. And then all I did is I moved that stencil down a bit so I didn't have a white border in between each row. And then I just kept on going. And I wasn't paying any attention to what color I put up above or below. I just put color down. So that's it when it's done, and you can really see the lines, which sort of bothered me. So I knew I was going to put the border on, and I thought I would put the stencil back on and offset it so the lines don't line up. They're offset, and I just tape that down, and then I have some Nuvo Moonstone Glimmer paste that I have put all over it. I've almost run out of that, so it was pretty dry. I was struggling today. And so I'm just spreading that on. And it did help, I think, with those lines. You can still see them a bit, but it didn't seem to bother me quite as much with the paste on. Now, I had also stenciled up a scrap piece of cardstock that was just big enough for this Joy. And I put the stencil down over that and went over it with the Moonstone Glimmer paste as well, just so the sentiment would match. So from these sentiment sheets, I had decided I wanted to use that May Your Christmas Be Filled with Joy, and I was going to use this Gina K Radiant Red foil, which is really a pretty foil. So I've cut out that one sentiment, and I have a parchment carrier there. I have 3 shims in there. I do like more shims, and then I put my laminator on the 5 mil setting and run it through. And that did seem to work. So when I got this out, it really did a good job of transferring. Now that is an eraser that is for a whiteboard. It's got a felt bottom to it. You can see there's a bit too much foil on some of those words, and all you do is you just really lightly run over it with that eraser. I think you could use a brush as well. It's just the eraser with the felt was so soft I didn't think it would scratch the foil at all. So here I've now die cut and stacked up 3 of those Joy die cuts just out of white cardstock, and I am putting in the patterned one that I have already die cut out. Okay, so now that glossy accents is dry, I attached this top layer to my stacked layer underneath. Now if you notice, I cut the berry one, the colored berry one on top, a little bit narrower on the bands at the top and the bottom. And I did want that. I did that just to help with the lines. I thought perhaps that would make it look more planned. I don't know if that looks more planned or not, but I just thought you can still see those lines a little bit up above. And I thought maybe that would help make it look like I knew what I was doing. So here I'm just planning out how to do this, thinking if that's where I want everything to go, and I like that, so that is where I ended up putting it. So I just glued everything down in place and stuck it under an acrylic block and on to card number 2. So here I'm using alcohol inks on Yupo paper. I have got Ranger, Cool Peri, Moss, and Pool. Those are the 3 I used. And then I had some Pinata Gold and Pinata Pearl, which I also mixed in. So now I thought I would use 2 borders on this card to make it a little different. So, but I wanted to use that Moonstone Glimmer paste again. I actually want to use that up before it's dried up. So I'm putting this just on the berries. And I probably should have masked that off. It would have been easier, but it worked out. And I've again cut 3 of each and stacked them up here. And now I'm putting the top Moonstone Glimmer layer border die on. So there's actually 4 on each, the top and the bottom. So I don't know if you can see that paste or not. Now for this one, for the Joy, again, I cut about 3 from white cardstock, and then I cut 1 out of this glitter cardstock. And luckily, really luckily, that Joy fit just in between those 2 border dies. So for this one, I was using this Wishing You Joy this season, but I was good. You'll see. I cut it there thinking that's where I had to cut it, but no, it's Wishing You Joy Joy. So I realized that and cut the Joy off. Now, I'm still I have mixed feelings about this. I left this, that's some Heidi Swap champagne colored foil that I was using there. I left this as it is here, Wishing You Joy, but I don't know. You'll see. I thought about putting Wishing You Joy this season on, and then I thought that looked unbalanced or not quite right. So I ended up putting this like this. So not sure if that was the right choice or not. Maybe I'll have to make another card. But I've already put that on my card base, and all I did is glue both of these borders on, stack them up underneath the acrylic block, and then glued everything else down. And that Joy just fit in between, like really just, it was a bit of a tight fit. But it did go. And those sentiments are really nice. They're just so quick. You can foil them with whatever color you want that matches. So there we have, both cards are done. And they are different. Same supplies though, as you can see. I just used different inks for the most part, I think. And different colored foils, I guess. So 2 different cards. I hope that's been helpful, guys. I'm going to give it a try and do it every other Monday. Thanks so much for joining me. Talk to you next time.